Hello and welcome to the sanctuary of the Metro East Unitarian Universalist Church in Illinois. Greetings to those watching remotely. This is a welcoming religious community, and we are glad to see you here today. I am Jamie Riedessel. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm delighted to welcome you here today. September has turned, and in the Unitarian Church of my upbringing, this is when we typically see more new faces in the crowd, and we sure have today. Thank you for showing up. We're glad to see you. People coming back from summer vacation and people just checking us out for the new year. Thank you for being here. And thank you for those of us who are looking back on us from the future. We hope you like what you see, because this is being recorded. We welcome everyone to this home of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope. We are Unitarian Universalists. An important ritual in the Unitarian Universalist faith and practice is the lighting of our chalice. Unitarian Universalists have many different interpretations for the flaming chalice, including the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope, which we all need right now. If you're watching elsewhere and have a chalice or candle, please light it now as we join in saying the unison words on the screen. We bow this time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. All right, before we move on to the meditation, we do have an announcement from our care team. So if you'd like to come up and share the updates from the congregation.
I have two sad announcements. Melody Miller's wife, Sandy, died earlier this week, and our thoughts go out to Melody and the family. And secondly, I got an email from Reverend Krista Teves this morning, minister at Elliott Chapel, that Dr. Chad Keller, who was a former member of the Alton Unitarian Church and current member of Elliott Chapel in Kirkwood, died Thursday at Barnes of complications of cancer. So our thoughts go out to his family. He was a faculty member at Lewis and Clark Community College.
Thank you. For today's meditation, I'm bringing two short poems that are in conversation with each other about neurodiversity, which is the topic of today's talk. Both poems are probably about ADHD. They don't declare it as such, but there's certain vibes there. The first one is about frustration, and the second one is the role of the ally. So, for the frustration of ADHD, staring at a blank page, burning with emotion, having no way to articulate it. If ever there was hell on earth, I think that'd be it. Trapped in your own mind with raging fires and no way to show everyone that you're aflame. From Tumblr user Titan God Helios from October 20th, 2023. The second poem, something of a response to this, even though it came a month before, by CW Poetry, and starts, hey neurodivergent, you are not a failure for walking away from various ventures and hobbies. Not when you're brave enough to embark on them in the first place, when you're humble enough to adopt the title of amateur, valiant in your efforts to seek what sets your soul on fire, self-respecting for no longer pursuing things that don't align with you, and diligent in your pursuit of happiness and purpose. You're everything but a failure. Amen and blessed be. Thank you. I invite you all to take a moment to greet someone you don't know as well this morning and to make a new connection over coffee or in the biscuits in the back. Hey.
Born to be on stage, I guess. No, I bought him some 3T clothes and I bought them. And I bought them yesterday. Yeah, we're not going to open that. Oh, come on, my man.
And now for our first hymn, number 67 in your book, Sing We Now Together. Rejoicing in good Excellent. Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. From Desmond Tutu. As is tradition, we ground our talks in the shared UU values. Today's centers around generosity and pluralism. Since I'm going to be talking about mental health issues, I really need to start talking about the organization of what we know as mental health diagnosis. The concept is foundational to American ideas of disability and accommodation. And simply put, if we don't know what you have, we don't know what your accommodations you're allowed to have. Simply put, we're conditionally generous as Americans to those we can categorize, which is extremely American of us. I know that's not how we're supposed to do it, but that's America for you, only for those things we deserve. We're trying to fix that. A lot of our problems actually don't begin with Freud, much as that may be. I know, it's not Freud. But believe it or not, in the 1840 census, when Congress decided to track how much insanity there was in the population, literally that word, insanity, they had super broad categories, and it was up to each census taker to determine, is this person insane or is this member of the household insane? And of course, there was no formal rubric. They just sort of use your judgment. Now, these numbers were crap, as you well would imagine, and there was a lot of pushback from the medical community for this is useless. Why are we doing this one? It sparked a lot of moves to try to formalize and categorize. By 1925, a few efforts had been through to standardize names and definitions of mental illness, but it wasn't until World War II, when the U.S. Army had to categorize every fighting-age male as fit or unfit for service, that we got the foundation of what would eventually become the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that we use to define mental illness. Now, the thing is, because this is based on the Army's definition of fit or unfit for service, it was, here's the normal, here's deviation from the normal. If you're deviant from normal, we fix that. Now, that lasted all the way until 1994, when the DSM-IV came out, and we started a major shift away from variation from normal is the treatable illness to the disorder, the distress someone experiences by having these conditions is the distress we teach. And that is better. And this work was further compounded in 2013 when the DSM-5 came out, this sort of patient-focused work. We're focusing on the distress, not the variation from normal. That's all well and good, but the problem is our schools and workplaces are still very much on deviation from normal thinking, even though the mental health industry has mostly moved off. The thing is, when the system won't help you, such as in workplaces and schools, that's where everyone else has to step in, and that's where the generosity and pluralism come in. And now, as part of a weekly service, we take time for the expressions of joys and concerns, or sorrows. Home for us means a place where we can each share the things that concern us, weigh us down our souls, or bring us joy, and where those of us we love surround us in times of good and in turmoil. If you'd like to recognize a joy or sorrow milestone, you can come forward and place a stone or several stones in the water bowl and represent your joys and sorrows. If you want to come in on the aisle to my left, cross in front, pick up a stone, put it in, and egress down the aisle on my right. If you can't navigate these hallways, please raise your hand and someone will bring a stone to you or ask you which joy or concern you wish to have placed, for we are a generous people. Let us be in a spirit of prayer and meditation. Ages isn't a video because I wrote something. Way back in February, Eden talked about ADD, ADHD, and what it means for us as UUs from the point of view of someone who has those. Today, I'm talking about those, but also autism and being friends and classmates with those people who deal with these every moment. I don't have ADHD or autism. I'm weirdly neuro-bland when it comes to these sorts of things. But I listen and I watch, and I see who is struggling to understand the meaning behind jokes, or who needs to be drawing and fidgeting in order to listen to teacher. Even with all the improvements we've had in the classroom since I was a kid, and there are a lot, neurospicy still have a hard time. This is where those of us who are neuro-bland can come in to help. Once upon a time, the phrase, hands on your desk, sit still, eyes forward, was common in classrooms. I'm neuro-bland, I had no trouble with this. I used to take great pride in being as statue-like as possible, because that was me as a kid, as compliant as possible. But many of my friends are functionally incapable of sitting still for more than 10 seconds. If below the desk, their knee would be bouncing up and down, and if they get called out on it, they'd be scrunching their toes frantically in their shoes to give a little bit of stimulation somewhere to give them what they need to pay attention. And by the time I got to high school, most teachers had understood that some kids just need to fidget. And people were way more accepting than that, but way more accepting than it was in first grade. Keep in mind that when ADHD as a diagnosis didn't really make it into schools until about 1982, and I was in school for 3 years at that point. So I got to see it from what is this new thing to somewhat more mature concepts towards the early and mid-90s. But today I am friends with parents of kids who got their parents ADHD and autism, and hear stories of fighting for appropriate accommodations, and which teachers get it, which teachers simply don't understand but try, and which adhere to the letter of the individualized education plan, but not the spirit. It's better, but it's not great to be a kid with these neurospices. The system is still designed for the neuro-bland. However, if you're friends with some of these neurospicy people, you're in a great place to get them caught up, if not ahead. You see, trust is the hardest thing to get. You're already friends, you're mostly there. If you can let them know that you can be trusted to explain what the homework is, why Ashley and Emma are kind of weird for a couple of days, because Ashley stole something if Emma's gave it back, but Emma's still holding a grudge, it goes better. But because the fun thing starts to happen once you get a reputation for being able to explain the social rules, especially why certain obvious rules don't apply in some cases, because these are exceptions to the visible rules are the ones a lot of autistic people have a hard time figuring out. So if your friend understands that you can write down the unwritten rules for them, you will have a deep friend and love it for it. They'll have less confusion in their lives, and you will learn rules that you intuitively understood, but now have a more stronger understanding of what they are, because you've had to explain it. Your friendships will get stronger, you will know more how people's minds work, which will set you up for great things later in life. This is how you respect the interdependent web. We are here for each other. Now, let's sing our kids off to RE. As you journey, may you know, love and hope go with you, love and hope go with you, learn and grow. Which brings us to our next hymn, number 121, We'll Build a Land. Our standards. We'll build a land where we For those who haven't heard the term before, neurospicy emerged online in the disability communities as a less prejudicial group term for people of various challenges as compared to the highly medicalized DSM names and everything else. Claudius talked about autism several times. Eden talked about ADHD back in February. Depression is something many of us fight with. As I mentioned to the kids earlier, my message today is about how you can help others whose spice makes us a little different than yours. I'm pretty narrow bland, but anyone my age has a little of something. Mine generally don't get in the way all that much. But that means I end up doing a lot of supporting others, and when I have the chance. At our age, the problem is less about failing to pay attention in class and understanding classroom dynamics and is more about flaky executive functions causing inconsistent work product and failing to understand the nuances of workplace dynamics. Maybe this is ADHD of the type where being able to pay attention enough to get work done is a dice roll, and missing your meds that day means one of the dice is missing, so getting to 7 is next to impossible. Maybe this is something like bipolar, where work and maybe other folks' feelings stop mattering for a while. Maybe this is autism, where getting assigned to a new team means having to relearn what everyone actually means when they say something. So many ways that our brains try to get in the way of us in this work-to-live economy like we live in now. Success in the workplace, defined as continuing to be employed with the hope of retirement, is a multi-axis thing. Some of us are good at all of this entire axis, which means we are the ones who can help those who need support. In May, our speaker showed a slide much like this next one, which is the kids cheering at a baseball park, which is a parable of equity versus equality. This one is a famous image. It's probably 15 years old. You've probably seen it a few times. But who built that fence, though? I say it's the park owner. Who brought the boxes? We don't know for sure. It certainly wasn't the park owner. You don't put a fence up if you want people just to watch things. So clearly these are people working around a problem. But who brought the boxes? My suggestion is the kids did. Maybe the tall kid brought 2 boxes, the middle kid brought 1, and the small kid didn't bring any but got the 2 boxes from the tall kid. That's the thing. It's like the tall kid did this because that's the way everyone can see the game. We are all we have. The ballpark wasn't going to fix this problem. Definitely not. Right now, with the current administration we have, claiming that equity, which is the left image, which is the right image showing people with equal access to things, is unlawful discrimination against tall kids, which means that companies are only allowed to do the left image, which is equal supports for everyone. If that leaves some people behind, well, tough, otherwise we'd get sued. But the problem is we still need to help, and that means if the corporations won't do this, we need to do it ourselves. So stepping away from pirating baseball games through using boxes, I'm going back to what I said earlier about multiple axes needed to be successful in the workplace. This next slide here, this silly chart is something called a radar plot. And wine and whiskey tasters use charts like this to kind of plot out what the flavor profile of a given wine or whiskey is. But here I'm using it as a demonstration for what, say, a workplace performance thing could be. As a metaphor, really. This isn't stuff actually used. You can see the thicker blue line around the 4 line. That is me, who's a general overall good employee. Good at being on time, understanding direction, responding to feedback, giving effective feedback, dealing with emergencies, and being consistent in my work. The dotted line is someone who maybe has ADHD, whose executive function sometimes goes walkabout. This person is absolutely aces in dealing with emergencies. Emergencies are interrupts, and I find ADHD people are geniuses at dealing with interrupt-based workflows. It's constantly changing, works well with their head. So they have a lot to teach us on that one. They're pretty good at understanding direction and pants at being on time and consistent in work direction because, again, flaky executive function kind of gets in the way of some things. This next slide is someone who possibly has autism, who doesn't do well with lies and hidden meanings. They're dead on time and are highly consistent in their work. Pretty good at understanding direction in emergencies, but not so good at the 2 feedback options. This last slide stacks all three up there, with the neuroblend as a solid line, the ADHDer with a dotted line, and the autist with a dashed line. But you can see here that everyone here is good at something and can teach the others. Even me, the one who was the one pretty good at everything, has a lot to learn. The me-shaped person can learn dealing with emergencies and giving feedback from the ADHDer, work consistency and timeliness from the autist. Meanwhile, the two of us can help support the ADHDer in work consistency and getting to meetings on time. And the two of us can help the autist through the struggles of accepting and giving feedback. Our employer may not encourage this beyond some words, but we sure as heck can help each other. That's Unitarian Universalism. Here's a concrete example for you. I had a coworker named Carol who had this sort of ADHD where she needed medication in order to hold coherent conversations with other people. And even on her meds, she talked really fast, and could get bumped off onto a tangent very easily. For her, explaining things to other people was particularly terrible because the tangent, redirect, tangent, redirect, tangent, redirect, tangent, redirect pattern of her thoughts interrupted any educational through line that other people need to be able to learn what's going on. She knew a lot, but other people didn't know that. Carol was also my best friend at that job, and our relationship developed over the first 6 months we were coworkers. It all started when we noticed a couple of concurrent science fiction quotes in our email signatures and realized we were watching the same shows and realized we had to have a conversation. And it kind of ballooned from there. So we bonded over nerdery and kept going. It took me a few weeks to build a mental model of how her brain works and what tangents drew like a moth to flame. Me, with my neuroblend brain, began to interpret what she said, and so when she would go to teach someone else how to do our stuff, she would take off, and I would restate with the educational through line intact, and without the tangents, unless they needed to be interpreted in, and sometimes bumping Carol back onto track if she digressed too far. Once Carol and I established trust, which is absolutely critical. You can't do what I did without trust, because unless you have that trust, it's interrupting Cal, and get really annoys people if you keep doing that one. But we had that trust, so we were able to work together as a team. But once we had that trust, other people began to notice that Carol knew everything there was to know about various topics. And trust in Carol's opinion rose, as did her overall credibility, and we fixed a pretty major pay gap. When we did performance reviews at the next cycle, she managed to land a 28% raise because everyone else realized she had been horribly misleveled when she came back from maternity leave. And that set her up, undid a whole lot of injustice just because I stepped in, helped, and we worked as a team together, even though the workplace wouldn't. That's how we did this. It took time to get to this point, though. And Carol's mind, let's see here. Most importantly, it was Carol needed to know I was helping. But we are Unitarian Universalists. This sort of thinking should come naturally, but our brains lie to us. There are predators out there. Humans, evolutionary speaking, weren't the biggest predators out there. There is a phrase that is common. If you're being chased by a bear, you only have to run faster than the slowest person. This is a highly cynical phrase and describes the cognitive bias I'm talking about here. But the problem is that employers and human resource departments that support them understand this tendency, because they understand that most people as a whole, maybe not the people in this room, but most people as a whole, when given the choice between saving the community and saving self, will pick self most of the time. And you can weaponize that. And employers and human resource departments use this to try to tamp down on union development and sort of limit coordinated employee action by encouraging this scarcity mindset. There is a bear. What are you doing? Save yourself. Bear thinking leads you to see the neurospicy member of your team, the one who's struggling, and breathe a sigh of relief, because when the next layoff comes, the sacrifice is ready. It's very easy to fall into this trap. But we as Unitarian Universalists ask, how can I help? What can I do to help lift this person up? And maybe that layoff will go to some other team, because we are in this together. Look into your work and volunteer efforts and see how prevalent bear thinking is. Who is driving the scarcity mindset? Who is pushing people to think of only themselves as a way to disrupt coalition building? Once you start seeing the structure, especially in professional settings, it's hard to stop noticing. Be the help for those who are struggling to see or are structurally disadvantaged by their own brains. That is Unitarian Universalism. And now for our last hymn, number 4. We don't do this one very often.
I think it's gonna rock.
Hey, I tell you what, I practice this one just so you have someone who knows what they're doing. As Amy passes around the offering basket, I offer the gentle reminder that this community of faith and practice is supported only by your giving, both of time and money. Stewardship is more than just financial donations, but also donating time and talent to help our church. If you can't write a check, please help our church survive and thrive by offering your time and help make coffee, bring snacks, serve as an usher, and other committees in helping with worship on occasion. We'll be having announcements later with plenty of calls for action, so don't you worry. Please donate as you can with your time, talent, and treasure. All are needed to prosper. Also, if you wish to give cash, please let us know who you are by filling out an envelope. I think we even have pens in the tray this time. However, if this is your first time here, as several of you are not obliged to give, but if you are, thank you. We want this service to be our gift to you. If you're willing to donate your time and talent, please contact a board member and let us know what would you like to do, what you can do to help. We'll let you know what the opportunities are. Please give what you are and able, for you are generous people. May this offering equip us to inspire, love, and seek justice. Thank you. We have some announcements. First off, this is the last lay speaker you'll get. The next 3 are going to be people who've actually been through seminary. Good job. On the 14th, the Reverend D. Evans will be talking. On the 21st, we're talking the Reverend Dr. Claudia. And on the 28th, our worship fellow, I believe, Eden, will be here. And unfortunately, September is also a hop-in time for the Masons, so we're doing a lot of setup and breakdown this month. So we'll need to break down and set up all of it. Sorry, but that's kind of how it works sometimes. Yep, we're trying to find ourselves a building, so we're looking. Next slide. Also, church choir rehearsal is today. After the service, at about 11:15. I'm getting you out a little early, so you have some time to grab some coffee before we actually go talk hymns. First and third Sundays is when it happens. After the service, all voices are welcome. So far, we're only singing unison. We're not doing parts yet, so if you're a little trepidatious from, I can't do mezzo-soprano, don't worry. It's all unison for now. And the men's lunch group will meet Saturday on the 11th on Thursday at 11:30 p.m. at the Best Buffet Grill in Wood River. And Alton Pride is coming up, looking for volunteers from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. See Jesse for that, who is, I don't believe, present today. So that's a bit of an issue.
Just contact me at this point.
Talk to Nathan.
Also, we're also helping hosting Dry Bingo at the Moose, so if you'd like to help out, please let me know.
Also, Dry Bingo at the Moose. So when is that?
It's in October.
October at some point. We have a little bit of time for that one.
Yes.
So it isn't Halloween themed, so if you have some costume aspirations, that's a good one. Also, Unity Fest is coming up. The last Saturday in September on the 27th, we have a booth there. We're looking for people to help booth with us. So, been there. Done it a couple of years. It's a good time. It's in my neighborhood. It's over by LeClaire Park in Edwardsville, so it's in town. If you want to help, please let us help. Come help us. Help others. It's a great time. I think that's it for announcement for guys. All right. All right. As I extinguish the chalice, join with me in saying these words. The light of truth and meaning cannot be put out. We are the keepers of this flame until we meet again. While the workplace and schools are still set up for 1940s Army ideal of an ideal worker and ideal student, humans are anything but ideal. Reach out your generous hand to help others who are struggling, and their hand will help you in your weaker areas. We are all we have. Amen and blessed be. Enjoy as our postlude. Thank you. Go have coffee. Go talk. Come join us for choir if you want.